We've all got our dreams and we've all got to keep on dreaming, and that's one of mine right there, a log cabin. The most we can really hope for is ordinary unhappiness, but a lot of us suffer more than just that. A lot of people have hideous stuff happen to them in their lives, but they still survive and get through it. I've said many times that the worst thing we have in our community is an angry young man that's not been taken care of. And it all starts with broken people having children and repeating the pattern. Yesterday I took these two dogs out and picked up a young fella and his brother and took their two dogs out too, and we went hunting. She won't hunt anymore. She's too old. Well, she probably still could. Many a young fella cut his teeth learning how to pig hunt with Poe swinging off the ear of a sow. And Pacer's got the telltale scars of this hunting he did last week. He got his ear chewed. Didn't you, Pace? And your paw. And his tail's still wagging. He was a bit footsore yesterday, but still went out, and the tail's wagging. That's a good sign for me. Hey brothers and the occasional sister, hope this one finds you well. Young men in our community really need our help, but the trouble is that we're all so busy trying to help ourselves and survive and do the right thing. Sometimes it's hard to find the resources. They'll give you away every time when you're hunting those guys. Don't try sneaking up on a stag in a riverbed. There'll always be a parry somewhere to make a racket. A lot of us have good intentions to help our neighbours out and people, but we've also got to help ourselves out. And let's face it, times can be pretty tough sometimes. The way the economical environment is right now, just finding enough time to put time aside when you've got so many jobs to do yourself. So I understand that not everybody can, and most of the time I can't either. We're just too busy looking after ourselves. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's like when the plane is going and suddenly the buzzer goes off, and the pilot comes on and the oxygen mask drops down. First thing we're told to do is put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before we put it on our little children. Because if we pass out, then we can't help them out. And it's the same sort of philosophy as far as looking after those in our community. I just find these days there's a real disconnection with the older people and the younger people. We've kind of become invisible, us 60-year-olds. Us guys of my age, we've kind of become invisible to the younger generation. They don't sort of see us sometimes, I think. I feel like I'm invisible sometimes. And that's a shame, because when I was a young fella, I used to look up to older guys because they knew everything and they taught me everything. My granddad was bloody awesome. Eric Ward, he taught me so much about trout fishing. Way more than my own father did, to be honest. He taught me how to tie a fly. He taught me how to cast the fly rod the right way. My brother Tristan and I, we went up to Taupo. He had a boat called the Sea Lass 2. It was awesome. We spent the weekend, we were camped out in Mount Manganui. We camped out one night and we were sleeping in the back of the boat. He had an old Valiant, an old Regal, and we slept in the back of the boat. And some guys were coming home from the pub drunk, and they saw the boat on the side of the road. And they realised there was fishing rods and all sorts of stuff in there, but they didn't realise that we were all sleeping in it. And I heard one guy go up to the other guy and say, "Hey, check it out. There's a whole lot of rods in the back of that boat and all sorts of gear." And the guy was, "Yeah." One guy clambered up on the wheel arch to get inside and steal something. Grandad waited till he was just halfway in the boat, and all he did was go, "Boo!" My brother Tristan and I burst out laughing. This guy got such a fright, he literally fell off the side of the boat. I think he probably had a heart attack. Well, almost. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but he looked like he did. And that's all Grandad did. And the guy went away. There wasn't any trouble. He was gone, and that was the end of that. The guy was probably just being nosy. I don't know if he's going to steal anything. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We got on that lake, and we trolled around the lake, and we caught brown trout. And then Grandad dropped us off at this beach. And my brother and I, Tristan, we met this old lady. Well, she wasn't old. She was probably in her 30s. We were just kids, you know. And she had two little children. They were Māori. And Mrs. Brown was awesome. She made damper in the morning and we cooked it up on her fire. And she took us to a river mouth that ran into Lake Taupo. And she taught me more about fly fishing than even my granddad did. She showed me to use the grey ghost and the black hairy dog. And the black hairy dog had red in it and mostly black. And she said, now you use, what was it now she said? The grey ghost, the light coloured one used in the daytime and the black one used at night time. And I remember thinking it should be the other way around. And I said to her, why is it that we use the black one at night? Wouldn't the white one show up better? And she said, no, because the fish have fish's eyes. And I remember thinking about that. a different perspective. I guess the fish are looking from above, and when you look up at the sky at night, it's actually, even at night, it's very, very bright. Even though it can be pitch black, it's still brighter. So maybe that made some sort of logic that the black shadow would show up against the sky. I don't know. But these things that my granddad did, they were important to my brother and I, because Dad wasn't around much, and we had trips with him. And then there was my other granddad, my mother's father, Frank, and he also taught me to fly fish as well, as did my Uncle Ewan. I learned a lot about fishing from those old guys, and they taught me how to tie the knots properly, the right sort of knot to use, and a lot of things that just were important. But today, we seem to have a separation in the family. There's a breakdown. We sort of all are individually cut off from our families. Families should be together and they should be extended, because everybody can teach something to everybody. The young generation can teach something to the old generation. I've learnt more about how to use my phone from younger people than I have from older people, but I've taught more younger people about how to sharpen their knife, how to dress an animal, and how to make a hut in the bush, or how to catch a fish using primitive means. So we've both got something to share on either side, so we can work together better as a team, all of us. But there seems to be almost like this competitive spirit, particularly among pig hunters. Us pig hunters are shocking at it. A lot of pig hunters won't share stuff with each other. And it's silly, because we're all trying to do the same thing. And then there's those that put others down. Oh mate, he's got shit dogs, he only catch sows and suckers. Well, we've all caught sows and suckers. I had a period one year where that's all I caught, and I had another year many years ago, 2005, I'd come back from Europe, and I had a bunch of dogs, and I was living up the back of the Pierce. That's when I wrote the Single Man song, and all I did was hunt every day, and of course all I did was catch loads of boars, because I had 4 good dogs. It started off as crap, but the more you hunt your dogs, the more pigs they catch. And there was a hut that Baz used to let me use. It's still up there, up the Pierce, and I was staying up there, and I was virtually living in it 24/7, and all I did was hunt every day. I had more pork to give away, and the dogs got good at catching big boars, and we'd go into all the back country far away, and I was a fit young man. We're talking 20 years ago. I wasn't an old fart that struggles now. I was like in my 40s, I was in my prime sort of mature years as a male. I had a lot more weight, I didn't have any disease, and I was strong, and I'd go away with no tracking gear, a knife on my hip, a wee bit of grub and a torch, because I was always going to come home in the dark, and we generally caught a good boar, loads of them. Sometimes we'd catch 2 in one hunt. Wasn't rare to catch 2. I'd go up Price's Clearing, I'd go right up the back of the Pierce, into the native country, into the high country. There was so much country to hunt. It was plentiful. Back in those days, and that's only 20 years ago, it was easy to go out and catch a boar that was around the 140, 150. I never caught any monsters. The biggest I ever caught was 180. They never got any bigger than that. But that's all changed, and we don't share stuff amongst us pig hunters. A lot of guys will hang on to stuff. They don't help each other out. It's almost like a put down. And that's wrong. I guess you get it in any sort of group. Bikies fight bikies. Dog breeders gossip about dog breeders. You see it in any circle. Human nature, but it sucks. Where's the support? Now, where's the support? Where's the sharing of information and sharing solutions to problems? Because we've all got problems, whatever they are, whether they're financial, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever you want to call it. We've all got them. None of us are immune from having problems with anything. And the more we could share, the more we could help, particularly our younger generation, they might get through their youth with a less things going wrong. And it's going to always impact on our community and those around us. You're basically feathering your own nest by helping out young people anyway. Not that that should be your driver, but you're making a better place for your own children to grow up in, and the people you know and the people you love. But there seems to be this division and this greed of not wanting to share what you've got, of trying to hang on to it, of not wanting to share your resources or share your time. And your time is the most valuable thing you've got. What's the point in keeping it all to yourself anyway? We're all going to bloody die. We're all going to kick the bucket. What's the point in leaving this planet without leaving something good behind? It doesn't take too much. And I understand that not everyone's got the resources to do that all the time. Most of the people I know that have come unstuck in life, most of the people that are either criminals or end up in jail, in fact, most of the guys that I know that have gone to jail, they've got either drinking problems, drug problems, or psychological problems. They didn't mean to stuff up. They just come off along their journey of life. Really starts off with those those parents, isn't it? Starting off at the very beginning, where you're born. I mean, if you're born into an affluent place where you're getting the best health care, and you've got two loving parents that are well balanced, that's a good start in life, isn't it? That's a good start. It's like playing a game of rugby. Kick-off is important. You get a good kick-off. I mean, if your kick is just a crap kick in the beginning of the game and the ball goes flying off the side, straight away, you know, the other side has grabbed it and it's closer to the halfway than it should have been, and they're already charging down. They're set up straight away. They're set up to have a better outcome for that game. You got a guy that's got a good foot and boots it right down the field and it bounces just perfectly, then out of touch. I mean, that's going to be the best start. It's the same with us. Parents that are damaged, wounded or hurt in some way, they often repeat the same patterns of what their parents did to them. Come on, Poe, we're not finished yet. You can wag your tail. We're doing another lap. We're getting our cardio going because it's bloody cold. Parents that do that, they repeat a pattern, and it's a pattern that's hard to get broken. It does get broken though, and people break it. When you can look at your parents and realise that they are just young people that had their struggles and had their compromises and their idiosyncrasies and their challenges, and they come together and they made you, and they did the best they could with what they had. When you can see them as that and not these gods that created us, but just these people that were full of flaws, and look at them like that, then you can sort of put things in perspective. Oh, I love both my parents very much. I've got a lot of respect for them, and they've both got big challenges with their health today. My mum and my dad, but I love them both still, and I understand that they did the very best with the tools they had. Dad was a great provider. He was a good provider. He worked bloody hard, and he provided. And Mum, she did the best with what tool she had. My mum, oh man, talk about, she was colourful, my mum. She still is. She created a lot of laughs. Yeah. Wasn't perfect by a long shot. Not by a long shot. But I'm grateful for my parents. And I still go and visit them. Give my dad a handshake every time I see him. As he grows older, his handshake grows weaker. But I say to him, Dad, you know, you can tell a lot by a bloke by his handshake. You can also tell by how well he is. And you've still got a firm handshake, Dad, at 86. Although you might have functional neurological disorder, you've still got a good handshake. So I reckon you're going to be around for a bit longer yet. And Dad, these days, he's a better listener. He can sit down and talk. I guess with neurological disorder like FND, functional neurological disorder, he can't get away from me, so he's got to bloody listen to me yak on. Yeah. Sadly, my mum has lost a lot of her memory. I went and saw her last week at the homestead and gave her some chocolate. And straight away she opened the packet. I said, Mum, you've just had your dinner, you can have one piece of chocolate for dessert, and that's enough. Yes, yes, son. And she cranks open another piece of chocolate. I said, Mum, that's 2 bits. I said, just one. She said, that's the last bit. I said, yeah, likely. Start talking to her, and she's not listening. She's cranking to the 3rd bit. I said, Mum, what did I say? She said, no, I'll make it the last one. She's stuffing the chocolate in her mouth, and I'm thinking, she's 86. What does it matter if she eats the whole fucking bar? I'm talking away, and there it goes. Half the bar's gone. I said, Mum, you've eaten half the bar of chocolate. You're going to be sick. She says, no, son, it's okay. Get in, Pace. Chasing a rabbit. Leave it, Pace. Pace, leave it alone. Pace, get in here. Good boy, Johnny. Johnny's not chasing it. Johnny's a good dog. Finally, the chocolate bar's completely gone. I also bought a box of those rosies, or roses, whatever they're called, chocolates, because I knew she'd scoff the whole lot. And here I am. Suddenly, the child becomes like the parent. We're parenting our parents. That's what happens as you get older. Yeah, our parents. Not everybody's got good parents. And some people have got brilliant parents. And some people have terrible parents. Some of the young fellows I've taken out over the years, I've been taking boys and young men hunting for over 20 years now, and some of the backgrounds of some of the young fellows I have taken out are just frigging hideous. And some of those guys have gone on to be outstanding young men in our community. I should know because they come around and visit me from time to time, and I tell them, I'm proud of you, mate. You made the best out of your life. Life is only one day at a time. There's one fellow that come around and saw me not long ago. He offered me a load of firewood, and I said, look, I really appreciate it, I really do. But there's others out there that could do with it more, and I was thinking of someone that I know not far from here and pointed him that direction. I don't know if he went there or not, because I haven't caught back up with him, but I said to him, you know, I've got firewood here and I've got a chainsaw, I just need to chop it up. I've got wood left over from the log cabin, and I really appreciate it, but you're a bloody good bastard for coming around and offering me that, because it's worth a bit when it's dry gum like that, and that gum burns really well. And I said to him, each day when you're at your work, you seem to be, from everything I'm hearing from your texts and that, you seem to be enjoying your work. He said, mate, I just love it. I just love it. I said, that is frigging awesome. He said, I just love it. He said, I wake up in the morning, I bounce out of bed because I've stopped drinking. Oh, that's another story. He did drink. I've stopped drinking. I bounce out of bed and I think today, he gets paid on contract. Today, I'm going to do X amount, and every day I achieve a slightly better goal. And he said, that gives me a purpose. And eventually my goal is to own a brand new Hilux. And I'm so pleased he's buying a Hilux and not a Ford. There might be something to do with what I've talked to him about vehicles about there. There may be my influence a little bit in that. I'm a little bit guilty of a bit of bias. So he's doing that, and he's going well. On the other hand, there's another bloke, and this guy's a real character. I'm not saying names here because this is public, but the other bloke has been off the rails, and I've got to say he's back on the rails. He's a frigging hard case too. His old man and I were mates, but his old man had a terrible problem with the bottle. Shocking. Died young in his 50s. Shouldn't have died, but he knocked himself around too much. And this other young fella, he's actually gone on a whole food plant-based diet now, and he's lost weight, and all his health problems, he's basically going down the same road as his old man. Like I said to him, you're going to be dead by the time you're in your 50s, just like your old man. You don't sort it out. So he's gone to a whole food plant-based diet, does a bit of hunting, so he eats a little bit of wild game here and there, but he's not eating all that processed rubbish anymore, and he's eating whole foods, mostly vegetables and fruits and nuts and seeds and beans, bit of wild venison, a bit of pork occasionally, but all the good tucker, none of that processed shit. This is another thing that parents I really struggle with, particularly young boys I take out, and I've got a few boys that suffer from ADHD, and I know all about ADHD because I've got it myself to some degree. I have definitely the classic stuff of always seeking adrenaline-filled stuff. I've been like that ever my whole life. I've always needed some form of adrenaline or something to take me from the boredom of just doing nothing. But ADHD is a relatively new sort of a name for something, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't around when I was a kid, and a lot of that also hinges on the food that we eat today, and a lot of the processed stuff. So you parents listening to me right now, you dads, and the occasional mum, because mostly it's the Bro Check Club, just listen to this. If you don't listen to anything else I say, if you have a child that's going to school, young, whatever age, don't feed them stuff out of packets. Everything in a packet's got some crap in it. The young fellow I was taken out yesterday for a hunt, he was eating bloody caramel popcorn. For fuck's sake, what sort of thing is that to give your child on a hunt? Honestly. I mean, it's got emulsifiers, oils, sugars, refined carbohydrates, synthetic crap. You know, that synthetic sugar, the stuff like that's made to represent sugars, not sugar, it's actually worse than sugar in many cases because it disturbs the microbiome of your gut. And the microbiome of your gut is where a lot of your actual thinking is created further up down the track. Make sense at all? Down here in your gut is where a lot of stuff is where your immune system, a lot of it takes place or started. I mean, goes through your whole system. There's different places. I won't get technical about it because I start talking through that. I'll start going on down a bloody track down the side and get off the main topic. But just don't give your kids rubbish. It's easy. Whole foods. Going to pack a lunch to go hunting with Clay. Give them a couple of carrots. Give them some cold kumara. Give them some cuts of meat from the dinner night before. Maybe give them a couple of boiled eggs. Give them a bit of salad in a bag so they've got something for their gut that's good and healthy. Some beans, a slow resistant starch for their energy. Don't give them bags of chips with fucking oils that are like almost industrial type oil and salt. Fat, all that shit that's just like designed to taste good by the manufacturers that are trying to sell us something. They don't care about your health, they don't give a bollocks. All they care about is their profit margin. So they create food that actually sells because it tastes good and it's addictive, but it doesn't do you any good at all, it just makes you sick. And it fuels things like ADHD and depression and anxiety. It's bad for you. Parents, feed your kids good tucker. There you go. It's only my opinion, but I think most people know anything about nutrition would agree with me. And if you can debate that I'm wrong, then tell me and explain why. But I can't see how difficult can it be to go out to the shop and buy a pumpkin, buy some kumara, buy some potato. Don't tell me that it's all too expensive. It's cheaper to make a big pot of vegetable stew and throw some cheap like cuts of meat in there in a big pot and feed it through the week than it is to buy stuff that's in packets. I've done the maths on it, so there's no argument in that one. If you're really, really poverty stricken, like my mum was when we grew up, and we were really poor, mum used to make do with like a bag of potatoes. She'd buy a pumpkin, because a pumpkin you get a lot of food out of. She'd buy a cabbage, and she used to buy pig's heads and pig's trotters. I don't think they sell them today, but that was what she used to feed us kids, and she'd make it go a long way. I grew up stealing the meat off my brother's plate. Poor old Tristan, he lost a lot of his meat because I was a greedy bastard. Poor bugger. There wasn't a lot to go around. Mum wouldn't have much on her plate, and she would often take the slice of meat off her plate and put them on the kids' plate, because she was good like that. Anyway, I've sort of digressed and got away from the main part of this video, and it's been going on for over 20 minutes, and that's probably longer than you need to listen to. 10 minutes is generally most people's attention span. So I'll put the phone away and say have a bloody good evening, and I'll walk these dogs the rest of the way. Then I'm going to go into my little home gym, which is a tree to hang from. Battery, I've got a battery for doing my squats, a big old truck battery, and I've got a bench, and I'm going to do a little bit of resistance training, because when you get to 61 you've got to look after the little bit of muscle you got left, gentlemen. So once or twice a week, squats are the best thing for getting your testosterone up. And I think the three main exercises to be concentrated on is squats, bench press, maybe pull-ups. So what I do is I do the squats first. I do really hard squats, and then I do the bench press because that feels easier after the squats, and then I'll do the pull-ups last. That's what I'm going to do tonight, and then cook a feed. Have a bloody good one. Go steady, brothers and the occasional sister. Remember, these are only my thoughts, not necessarily correct, just from what I've gathered in my 61 years of being on the planet from my own experiences. You'll have your own spin on it, and that's just as valid as mine. Go steady. See you soon. See you later. Bye. He's going to be a lead dog, that boy. Yes, you are, mate. He's going to be a good boy. I'm going to go hunting Farmer Sam Foamy this week. We'll be going out again soon, won't we? Bloody oath we will. You're a good boy. You even know when I'm thinking about you, don't you? I was just thinking about you, then you turn around and you're so zoned into me. I don't care what anybody says. The more time I spend with people, the more I trust and love dogs. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, mate? Too right. And she's just looking for mice in the paddock. Poe. Good night.